All right, so the first thing we want to start to learn is there's certain steps we have to follow in a certain order to solve multi-step equations. So we're going to write those steps down. So this is going to be steps to solve a multi-step equation. Okay, and pretty much 90% of the equations we will be solving will involve these steps in this order, okay? All right, so I need everyone focused on what we're doing now, in the here and now. Come on, write this down. Francisco, turn around. Focus here, please. All right, so first step, write this down. Number one, the very first thing we should always do, if we can, it's not always going to be possible that we do all these steps. In fact, even today, we won't cover all the steps, is to distribute. And we distribute to eliminate parentheses. Okay, so we're going to distribute to eliminate parentheses. Number two, second thing we're going to do, and this will be something we'll be doing a lot of today, combine like terms. Combine like terms. And in parentheses, I'm going to write down on the same side. On the same side, meaning the same side of the equal sign. Okay. The third step is actually something we won't have to worry about until Wednesday, but I'm going to write it down now so that we have it. Third step, move all variables to one side. And by one side, we mean the one side of the equal sign. In fact, we should probably include that. Of the, and then I'll just show the equal sign. So this is going to happen when we have variables on both sides of the equal sign. Might have 4x on the left side of the equal sign and 7x on the right side. We want all our variables on either the right or left. Okay, number 4. So number 4 is to add or subtract to remove a constant. Add or subtract to remove a constant. So at this point, we should have a two-step equation where you're doing those steps. Number 5. Okay. A rule of thumb is if I could hear you over here, it's too loud. I'm looking over there, and I'm asking you to stop talking. Okay, last thing is divide or multiply to remove the coefficient. Okay, so if we follow the steps in that order, each and every time, 90% of the time we'll solve these correctly. So we're going to solve some equations using those steps. Okay, so let's solve. So we're going to do a couple where we have to combine like terms on the same side. Let me give you an example. Number one, write this down. Negative n plus 6n plus 3 equals 16. And I'll just write the second one right next to it. 7m minus 4 plus m minus 8 equals negative 36. Okay, so go ahead and write those down. So first thing we should always check is for parentheses. We don't see parentheses, right? So we don't have to distribute. Second thing we should look at is, can we combine like terms? You guys remember from last year what like terms look like? If you have like a whole chain of variables and numbers that you're adding together, all the variables with the same letter go together, all the numbers without variables go together. So do you see here on the left side, what is it that I can combine? Well, let's see, this 3, does the 3 have an n?
No.
No. So I can't combine the 3 with the 6 because the 6 has the n attached to it. But I can combine 6n with something else, negative n. Now, what number can I put there? 1. Just to refresh my memory that that's negative 1. Now, here's how I'm going to do this. I'm going to take some what do you call it? Highlighters. And I'm going to use those to help identify things. Watch. This is going to help us out. If you have colored pens, you could do the same thing. I'm going to identify the things that go together and kind of box them in with the same highlighter. So here I'm going to box in negative 1n. Okay. So if you have a colored pencil or colored pen, do the same thing, just that one with the same color. Now, I know that I can combine that with other things that are n, which in this case, notice how I say this, positive 6n. Why am I saying it's positive? What does this one have in front of it?
Oh, n.
No, but what operation? Addition. That makes it a positive. So this is positive 6n. Okay? So really what I'm doing is I'm going to combine, which means the same as adding. So whenever I say the word combine, think of adding, integer addition. Because that's what I'm going to be doing. I'm going to be doing integer addition. For example, the integer addition I'm going to do here is negative 1 plus positive 6. Negative 1 here, positive 6 there. So if I add negative 1 plus positive 6, that equals positive 5. And take a look. The way I would simplify this is the following. If I combine these two, I get positive 5n. And then I just bring down the plus 3 because I couldn't combine it with anything. So all of this simplified to 5n plus 3 equals 16. So that's what we do when we combine like terms. Find the things that go together and you do some integer addition to make it two or more things into one. Okay, so now it's a two-step equation. Let's solve it. Get rid of this 3. Let's all get rid of 3. This is the part I'm hoping everyone just can do without thinking, putting much thought into it. So I get 5n equals, again, I'm combining, so it's integer addition. 16 plus negative 3 is positive 13. And then let's divide. Divide out the 5. We notice that 5 doesn't go into 13, so we can write this answer one of two ways. 13/5, right? It's an improper fraction, but it's an answer nonetheless. So 13/5 is a valid answer. I can write it that way. Or, let's see, 5 goes into 13 2 times, so it's 2. My remainder is 3, so that's the numerator. And the denominator is 5. 2 3/5. So you could write it either of those two ways. Okay, so we got an answer. 13/5 or 2 3/5. Any questions? Yes. Yes. Well, it depends, right? Because if you're doing this on delta and they want the answer as a fraction, you probably wouldn't. But if we're doing this for a test or something, that would be okay. Okay, any questions? So that's combining like terms. Let's take a look at the next one. Okay, so here we have 7m minus 4 plus m minus 8 equals negative 36. So just ignore the negative 36 for a bit. Take a look. What is it that we can combine? What can we put together? Yes, Julie. Yeah, the m's go together. So we can put together this 7m and this. Notice how I'm grabbing the plus sign? I'm going to grab that because that tells me that's a positive m. What number can I put there if it's just m? 1. And that's going to help me out in a bit. Is there anything else I can combine? Negative 4 and negative 8. I like how you said that. They're both negatives. The minus sign in front tells me they're both negatives. So those go together. Okay. So let's take a look at the math operations that we're doing. Okay. On one side, we're adding 7 plus 1, right? A 7's here and a 1 is here. So we're doing 7 plus 1. That's going to give us 8. On the other side with the constants, we're adding negative 4 and negative 8. So we're adding negative 4 plus negative 8. Because we're combining, we're adding. So just use the rules for integer. Same sign, adding, keep. What's negative 4 plus negative 8 going to be? Negative 12. So this is how simple this is now. From combining 7m and 1m, we're going to get 8m. From combining minus 4 and minus 8, we're going to get minus 12. Yes? When you multiply or divide. But here where you're adding, you're using the rules for integer. Same sign, add and keep. So they're the same sign, you add and keep the negative sign. Okay? So that gives us 8m minus 12 equals 36, or negative 36. So let's get rid of this minus 12. All right, so let's see here. This would be 8m equals Negative 36 and 12. Different sign, subtract. So it's 24, but is it positive 24 or negative 24? So it's negative 24. Now let's divide the 8. Okay. That's going to be m equals 8 goes into 24 3 times, but this is negative 3. So now we're using the rules for dividing integers. Negative divided by positive is a negative. Okay. So we get the answer of negative 3 for m. Any questions? All right. So we're going to do a few where we have to distribute, then combine. So we're basically going to do all of the steps except step 3. We're going to distribute, combine like terms. We don't have to worry about moving variables at this point, but then we're going to add and subtract or multiply and divide. Okay? So let's do this. So number 3. Number 3 is going to be 2 times the quantity 2n plus 1 plus 6n plus 3 equals negative 65. Okay? So let's go ahead and try this. What's our first move? Look at the steps. Distribute. So I don't want you to go overboard with distributing. Just the things inside the parentheses. We multiply 2 to each of those. So let's do that step. We're going to multiply 2 times 2n. That would be 4n. Then 2 times positive 1 because of the plus sign. So that would be 2. And then bring down the rest of this. So plus 6n comes down, plus 3 comes down, equals negative 65. Okay? So now we just have a bunch of like terms that we can combine. Let's do that. Let's combine our like terms. Starting with the n's. So I'm going to combine 4n and positive 6n. Then I can also combine 2 and 3. Okay? So that's everything I can combine. So let's see what that gives us. What's 4n and 6n going to give us? 10n. And then 2 and 3 gives us 5, right? So how should I write that here? Two n plus 5 was negative 65. Okay. All right. Let's get rid of the plus 5. So that's going to be 10n equals, I'm going to combine negative 65 and negative 5. This is where I'm noticing the negative 70. You're just think of integer addition. And just divide out the 10 and we'll get our final answer. So we're going to divide negative 70 by positive 10, negative 7. Okay. Any questions? Now that one wasn't too bad because we had nothing but nothing but positives. But in the next one we'll have some negatives, especially distributing with a negative. Okay, so here we go. Number 4. Oops. Number 4, let's try this again. All right, number 4 is going to be negative 5 times k plus 1 plus 3k minus 3 equals negative 14. All right. So if we have parentheses, we should probably distribute. Let's distribute. What are we going to multiply through by? Negative 5. We got to be careful with those negatives. So let's see here. If I multiply negative 5 times k, what does that give me? Negative 5k. Now if I multiply negative 5 times this plus 1, what does that become? Negative 5, so I'm going to write minus 5. Okay. Then bring down the plus 3k and the minus 3 equals negative 14. Okay. Any questions so far? Let's combine. Let's start with the k's. You got negative 5k. And notice how I grab this with a plus sign in front of it? That reminds me that's a positive. So I'm going to grab those. And then I'm also going to combine negative 5 because it's a minus 5 and negative 3 because that's a minus 3. Okay. So let's see. What's negative 5 plus positive 3? Oh, remember, same sign adding, keep different signs, subtract. We got different signs. Whenever there are different signs, you take away. So what's 5 take away 3? 2. But it's going to be a negative 2 because the bigger number is negative. Now, what am I going to get when I add negative 5 and negative 3? Negative 8. So it's going to be minus 8 equals negative 14. Okay? So now we get rid of the 8. We'll add 8 plus 8 here plus 8 there. Okay, that's going to give us negative 2k equals, that's negative 6. Again, subtract, keep the sign of the bigger number. So let's divide by negative 2 and we'll get an answer. K equals 3, positive 3. Negative divided by a negative is a positive. Okay, we're going to do 2 more, but I ran out of room here. These multi-steps take up some room. So as soon as I see people are done, any questions so far? I'll flip the page. Okay, you guys ready? Okay, 2 more, I promise. That's it. This will be page 23. Okay, so on page 23, we're going to solve a couple more. Number 5. So number 5 is this, negative 2, parentheses, negative, bless you, x minus 3 minus 4x minus 1 equals 8. I'm sorry, 18. Okay, so go ahead and write that down. And we see parentheses. Let's distribute. Now we got to be careful because we're distributing a negative. Let's see what happens. So let's multiply this negative 2 times this negative x. Negative times a negative. positive 2x. Basically, that's what's going to happen on the next one, too. We got negative 2 times a minus. That's a negative times a negative. That's going to be positive 6. So how should I write that? Plus 6. Because we ended up with a positive, you write that as plus 6. Then bring down the rest. Negative 4x minus 1 equals 18. Okay? Let's combine. Let's combine those x's. 2x and negative 4x. Let's combine the constants, positive 6, negative 1. Let's see what that gives us. Starting with 2 and negative 4. What happens when we add a positive 2 with a negative 4? Negative 2. Negative 2x. And then we're going to combine a 6 and a negative 1. What's a 6 plus a negative 1? 5. Since it's positive, we'll write that as plus 5. Equals 18. So that all of that gave us negative 2x plus 5 equals 18. Let's get rid of this 5. Oops. It's subtracting. Why am I trying to divide? Minus 5. Boom. Negative 2x equals 13. Divide out the negative 2. And we get x equals, well, we got a couple of ways to write this answer. 2 does not go into 13 evenly, right? Is it a positive or a negative answer? So you could write this as negative 13 halves, improper fraction. Or let's see, negative 6 and 1/2. 2 goes into 13 6 times, so negative 6. 1's left over, so the remainder is in numerator, negative 6.5. Or negative 6.5. Okay? All right, we'll do one more, and then we'll be ready. Number 6. So here's the final one. Let's do this. Negative 3 times 2y minus 3 plus y plus 4 equals negative 20. Okay, so write that all down, please. We got parentheses. Let's distribute. Distribute here and here. Okay, let's do it. What's negative 3 times 2y? Negative 6y. What's negative 3 times minus 3? Negative times negative is, so that's going to be plus 9. 3 times 3 is 9. Plus, we got a y, plus 4 equals negative 20. Okay. I should probably do something to this y. Yeah, put a 1 there. Anytime it's a minus y or a plus y, I'm going to put a 1 there. Because the next step is to combine the like terms, which are negative 6y and positive 1y. And then we're also going to combine the constants, which are plus 9 and plus 4. Plus 9, plus 4. Let's see what we get. So negative 6 plus positive 1. Negative 5y. positive 9 and positive 4. So plus 13 equals negative 20. Okay, let's get rid of that 13. With a negative 13 there. We'll bring down the negative 5y. Combine negative 20 and negative 13, that's negative 33. So in the end, we have negative 5y equals negative 33. Looks like it's going to be another fraction answer because I got to divide by 5. And I do know that 5 doesn't go into 33 evenly. Will it be positive or negative though? I got a negative dividing on negative. So that's positive 33 over 5. Oops. Let me try that again. 33 fifths. Or, how many 5s go into 33? 6, and then we'll have 3 left over. 6 and 3 fifths. So it's either 33 fifths or 6 and 3 fifths. If you're doing this on Delta Math, it's probably easier to just write it as 33/5. Okay, so today this is what we're going to do. We're going to solve equations that are multi-step that involve distributing and combining. Okay, so make sure you get this down. Is anyone still writing this? No?